life worth these days? You're on.
Thank you. I would like to call this meeting of the Finance Committee of New Philadelphia City Council to order. I see that full membership, Mr. Crimebill, Mr. Lonzer are here, our alternate, Ms. Ramos here tonight. We came together tonight to talk about Ordinance 2024, which was an ordinance for us to amend and adjust the permanent appropriations to allow us to bring in a mosquito grant. But in talking to the auditor, I'm going to turn the floor over because I think we may actually not have to take this step. So,
So it looks like I did find a spreadsheet that it does include the $15,000 for the mosquito grant in the 2024 appropriations. The total matches the certificate number 3 from the Budget Commission. So it looks like it's already been appropriated for. I just don't think it was entered into our VIP system.
so just an oversight. We really, Mr. Law Director, does that mean we really don't need this ordinance because it's already been appropriated?
Honestly, I had always deferred to Beth on these things
Yeah.
because I know that Beth always said we needed something for the auditors.
Okay.
For the state auditors to show. And I says, well, but it's already been appropriated. Why do we then have to pass a second piece of legislation?
Right. It would've
She
been
always
a-
told me that we needed it for the state auditors, so you might
Does
ask
it
her.
bother us if we pass this?
It doesn't hurt you to pass it at all.
Okay. Probably would not need to be an emergency because it sounds like you've got some backing data there, as it were. Am I right there?
That's what it looks like to me, yeah.
Okay. So I would throw the floor open to members of the committee at this time. Mr. Cramble, do you have any questions?
None.
Mr. Lonzer?
Absolutely none.
Mr. Ramos?
None.
Okay, anybody from council? Any questions? Do we wish to take any action on this tonight?
Do we want to just do it on first reading, just to over though? I know it's not an emergency, but.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think if we did it, then your paperwork would all be in order and
Well,
we'd
I'll
be covered.
make a motion to, for ordinance number 2024, to go to vote tonight and try to get it on first reading approval.
I'll second that.
Okay, I will call the roll. Mr. Crimble?
Yes.
Mr. Lonzer?
Yes.
I am also a yes, so we will add it to tonight's agenda and pull it up for first reading for passage tonight and go from there. Is there any other business to come before this committee? Madam Auditor, do you have anything that you would like to? Okay. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
We are adjourned at 6:18. Or, I'm sorry, yeah, 6:18.
It's now 6:30. I'll be calling the Public Works and Economics meeting to order. Members are Mrs. Ramos, Mr. Rippeth, myself, and my alternate is Mr. Simley. We have one item to discuss tonight. It's kind of a continuation of what we did last meeting to discuss 2024 sanitation rates. Everybody's had a couple weeks now to get back into their neighborhoods, to communities, to, hear what people were saying about it and comments on it and stuff. And I'll start off and then I'll open it up to committee. Everything I shouldn't be shocked, because when we did, like I said, some years ago, they put it on the water bills and asked, what they think of our sanitation department. And it was 75–80% said, don't do anything. We love our sanitation department. Don't change nothing. Don't do whatever we gotta do. And it was kind of the same way. It's, everybody I talked to was positive of just give them what they want. Whatever we need to, we like what we have. We like having the curbside recycling. We like having, we're, $3 is not that much money for the services that we get, when they're coming out there and making a special trip and picking up an old sofa that you have out in the garage or anything, I think when it, so, so basically from what I've heard in my neighborhood, my neighbors and friends and community is give them the $3. And if we need to revisit in a couple years, if sanitation keeps to be, recycling becomes a draw on us or something even more than it already is, then maybe we will revisit that in a few years. But as the way it stands now, my opinion is give them the $3 increase. So Mr. Rippeth or Mrs. Ramos, or one of you guys want to go ahead, Mrs. Ramos?
So, I have not heard anything from my ward, nothing. And, I know people recycle. I got, at the last minute here, an email from somebody on the south side and then somebody on North Broadway. That like their curbside recycling. I've talked to people and they're like, yeah, I'll pay more for that amenity for the curbside recycling. So I didn't really get from my ward, a big response. Mostly people outside of my ward. And I know people recycle because I was watching the bins and that. But I've also done some research, so I would like to share that. Some of the cities, I went up to Alliance, I did some research. They actually have another company do their garbage pickup. I also think we have I've heard, from the people that did contact me, we have great service. I've always gotten great service from General Services when I've called down there. Some people know who their garbage men are. I don't, because I'm at work during that time, but it's always picked up. So I know we have a great service for a great price. And so I'm all about a good service for a good price, okay? So, and we have that, so I'm glad for that. And we do want to keep our own people in-house doing it. I don't have anything to say against that. So most of these cities on the list, some of them were, most of them, I've crossed off the ones that weren't comparable population-wise. I looked that up. But this was interesting. I think that people are willing to pay like $1.23 extra for their recycling. That will cover the cost. Bare minimum, I did the numbers on that Mr. McAveer provided. And in my research, I knew the last time we met, I talked about single-family homes that obviously have more people in them than a single family, because there's 8 to 10 cars outside and only adults drive. And so I ran across in Green, they have Republic do theirs, but I'm not talking about the provider, okay? just their rate structure. So, we might want to look at this, because things have changed in the city since we first set this up, a blanket across the board pickup fee. So we gotta move with the times, I think, and also get the biggest bang for our buck in what our guys are doing. And our vehicles are, the traffic that they're enduring. I brought up Dover last time. I did want to say I did call them. They're raising their rates. And part of those rates include a 2% service fee to cover their billing part. And so they're going up to, not to say we have to do this, $18.35, which includes their 2% service fee, and of course, you know, Kimball does theirs unlimited. They also only pick up the recycling every other week. They have a certain time they do that, so that might be one thing that we consider for the wear and tear on our trucks. We have already know from our talking that we're not talking about laying off anyone. Okay, back to this level of service, and this is where I think we need to consider this, because the times are changing. Isn't there a song about that? They have, this green again, and change is difficult, I know. They have an unlimited service level, and for a 96-gallon waste can, you can have as many bags or bundles outside of it that you want. The option is $17.10 a month. Their rates I pulled off their website. Now they might be up from that, I don't know. This was today. Then they have limited, which is $16.64 a month. Again, all your waste has to fit into that 96-gallon cart with the lid closed. If you have extra waste outside of the cart, you get charged for that. Then some of us will like this. They have a senior citizen rate for $14.77 a month, because we usually produce less. There are qualifications for that. Somebody in the household has to be 65 years or older to get the discount, and you have to request that rate, of course, and there's limits on what you can have. Then they have a bag service where you put bags out, and you can add recycling to that for $6.47 a month. And then it says, all residents signing up for the unlimited, limited, and senior service discount, it's for 65-gallon recycling cart. And they collect once a week on their recycling. Those are their prices. So we might want to look at different pricing structure. I know it'd be more difficult to do that, but I'm not sure that the one blanket fee is sufficient anymore with the way our population has changed. So I would actually be in favor of charging $1.23 or $1.50 per month more for the people that recycle, because that'll cover that, and the rest of the people that don't recycle wouldn't have to subsidize the very few that recycle. Thank you.
Mr. Rippeth?
I had a question for Mrs. Ramos. With that 96-gallon or quart or whatever it was, the container, is that provided by the sanitation department?
They have, so this is my idea, you get your own. We don't pay for they have Republic, so Republic provides
So it's a
those.
Republic-provided container?
Yeah, so we want to keep our own service providers.
Yeah.
So this is an ideal we can look at, whatever.
Because that would become a difficulty, I think, for us, because what Mitch has and what I have may not be the same containers. Might be a difficulty if it's not.
Right.
If it's not that
And
standard
they're
container.
kind of standard, we have
Yeah.
standard ones. And I can send you guys pictures of people that probably should be on the unlimited plan. Uh, And that, I'm not talking about the 3 extra pickups a year for couches and,
Right.
you know, I'm not even touching that. I think we need to explore this, because things are changing in our city, and we need to keep up with the times, and keep up with the way actually things are. So, yeah, thank you for the
Yeah,
question.
I
That was
just
good.
wondered with that there must be some kind of a standard container if.
Yeah,
if
we
they're
have a
going by
standard
those.
trash can.
So,
And the service, and, one time mine blew away, and who knows where it went. And, I called down to General Services, and they have a standard size they have.
okay.
And, I don't know what that is,
We don't
Roy.
have any cans, we do not.
It's a plastic thing, they brought
You
it
mean
up
the
for me.
recycle,
Huh?
recycle can?
No, not that, the regular trash
Trash bin.
can
No, we do
blew
not.
away.
Yeah, but we don't have we don't keep any,
Right.
actually. We would probably,
Oh.
you probably just went to Lowe's. We don't keep any, we keep the recycled tub. You
You-
say those numbers, what City of Greens is what you was talking about? You weren't talking about Dover, right?
Yeah,
But it was-
no, I wasn't talking about Dover.
Okay.
Dover does their recycle pickup every other week,
Right,
If-
and it's 1836, did you say?
including a 2% service charge, and Kimball does it, and Kimball provides the bins.
In the
Right.
city of Green, that was a Republic service.
Right.
Correct.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So Republic is setting those rates, not the city of Green, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. the city
Well,
of Green
they're
is then passing them through.
contracting with them, so that's their
Right.
rates.
Republic's setting the price.
Yeah.
And also on the can like that, the ones you're talking about, the big 96, those are the ones that, for Ronnie,
Mechanical
those are
pickups.
mechanical ones.
Right.
With the mechanical arms, and none of our trucks have any of that.
So these are ideas that we can tweak to us.
Yeah.
I just think we need to look at okay, I think we have if you're 7 residents in an apartment building, 7 units, you have to pay more. Is that right, Ron?
No,
No, that's on our website.
you're not you pay a rate for the first 7 units, you pay the minimum rate, and then it goes down from there on a 12 unit and so on.
Per unit.
But like, I'll say one instance when you talk about the multifamily, and this is tough to decipher, because you wanna say there's more people living in a home. My lifting partner for 32 years had 6 children. Lived in Schönbrunn Estates, so it's not an area that you want to say is here or there, or
Right.
something that does anything, so I don't know you ever wanna go down that road of, there's multi-people family living in that one. 6 kids in one household, again, I don't know how you would charge them more than anything else. I think it's a great idea, maybe, but in reality, I don't know that it works. I guess I would question the fact that you had $1.23, and you said that would make up for the recycle, or charge them more. There's 2,051 customers that used that. That comes up to $30,000 a year.
Do you
That's not
want to
gonna-
know how I
that's-
figured that?
I just said, I know how many accounts there are, and you said $1.23. You wanted to charge those folks more. That's 30,000 a year. That's not gonna cover recycles, not even cover half the salary of one employee.
Yeah, I only did the cost of the recycling Kimball fee, that's all I did.
No, but I'm saying, we had that, on that paperwork we had, the accounts that recycled was 2,051. You said something about $1.23 to offset that money.
No, it was to offset the recycling fee, recycling cost.
30,000 Kimball fee.
But you still got your 2 guys and the labor and everything else and the fuel. You gotta allow all that. So, back to that, that's in this one here. The operating cost for that is $211,000 on that last carryout sheet. So you wanna throw $30,000 at it, that's bare hunting with
Oh,
a switch.
okay, that's the total
That's bear
recycling
hunting with a
cost.
switch.
Okay. Sorry, I just did the Kimball recycling fee. So we could charge $5 extra a month, everybody's,
Yeah,
they
sure, and let's
seem to be
just go
willing to pay
$3 and
that.
make it easy. Like, I haven't heard anything. Did you guys get the one, that, by the way, my email, I forgot to tell you guys, that was from, Norman Karen Singleton, the voicemail.
Yeah.
Just so
Yeah,
you know.
he said
that's
that.
fine, and then, got that one from Izzy. I'm the same way with, Councilman Rippeth. I've heard, absolutely, let's go, you know what I mean? It's, you know,
Like it the way it is.
yeah.
We've heard from a couple people, I think. You got a lot of response from your ward, you told me.
All over the city.
Before I leave, committee, Mr. Rippeth, did you have any?
Well,
No, I'm
just
sorry, I'm
echoing
sorry.
what the service director said, you know, all the contacts that I've had have been very positive, first of all, at the sanitation service, and
Right.
what a great job we do as a city. So they're to be commended, Ron. They do a great job, and people recognize it. The other thing is, people I've talked to are like, we don't want to be the city that does away with recycling. We think it's important that we as a city set that standard, and that curbside makes that doable. I've had people say, I recycle, I do curbside, but if you're gonna make me drive it to Bueller's, I'm probably gonna put it in the trash can. Well,
Mr. Simmons?
I echo what you guys are saying, and the results I got, I talk to people who recycle or don't recycle. All of them said $3, do it, you know, because they think the service is good.
Yeah.
The drivers, if something falls out of the can in the street, they pick it up. You know, they don't leave trash behind after they've picked up. They're good conscientious guys. So guys, people recycle or don't recycle, nobody objected. The only question I had was, do we have any alternative? This Kimball recycling fee goes from 12,000 to 30,000 in 1 year. I don't know whether there's any other options. You know, is there an alternative course to take there? That's a
We
big
put
hit
that
for you.
out, just so everybody knows, that goes out to bid every 3 years.
Uh-huh.
So everybody in the whole state of Ohio, if they come from West Virginia, want to haul it for cheaper, they have that opportunity,
Okay.
unfortunately. Sometimes we have, I can't think of their name, in Bolivar. We've had them the last couple times,
Yeah.
but this, I'm sorry, but they did not this time.
Didn't.
And, last time they did it, so 3 years ago, they was in the ballpark, but now you gotta get our guys to travel up to Bolivar in an 8-hour day. So we did the math on all that, and it didn't make sense. So, because they was close, but I think they might have been 8,000 cheaper. But once you do the math, and then, you know, on a busy day, for overtime, wear and tear on the vehicles, you know, fuel, $8,000 is not worth going to Bolivar versus going outside Dover.
Right.
So, but yeah, is that opportunity given? It's just not given to them, they have to bid on it. And this year, it was just them this year.
Well, and when does that come up again?
Well, we just signed it this year, so
Did you?
we've got another 3 years.
So-
That's why I don't believe that you'll see us back. I think Dan had asked me the last time, 4 or 5 years to most, I think, before we'd ever have to visit this again.
Well,
Because
if
the
you
rates
don't
are
see-
locked
if you
in
don't see a
now.
need, you talked about one truck for next year, but you're fine with that.
Yeah,
And I can't see any other reason. If you're already giving the guys a raise this year, so I don't see any other big increase.
And I'll come to you next, but basically, you're telling me, Ronnie, is that, you know, we have no carryover, but to ensure that carryover gets larger so we can cover the cost of trucks
right.
and everything that we need,
Right. I wanna get
that's
it
where
done
that $3 comes
In
into
a fail
effect.
swoop and get that,
It's-
because
It's thinking ahead down the road for a few years.
yeah, if you look at that first year, I know that we've talked about this, but that first year was 280,000. Well, if you look at it, let's say the garbage truck is 225 right now. And I think I gave the number of the wages of up 30,000. I think I had fuel at 16,000. I had the, more charges on the waste, that's 10. Added up, it's right at 280. So all we're gonna do next year is break even. But then we can build then from there in year 2 and 3 of this thing and keep going. But that first year is completely a wash. But it's still, okay, I understand, but we gotta get there.
it's catching back up.
Yes, we gotta
Right.
get there. But we don't wanna fall behind.
Right.
you know what I mean, on anything less than that, I feel.
Thank you, Mr. McAvoy.
Just following up on the, and both these guys had calls, and everybody was unanimously in favor. And I appreciate all the thought that Cheryl put in about all these variables and things. But if we put a bunch of variables in there, and all of a sudden, we're gonna create some people that are unhappy because hers is $2 less than mine.
And I agree with that, because not only that, but how much more work would that be? Who's gonna go check to
Yeah, it would be
see
more work.
how many
you know,
trash,
starting
are the
with
guys on the back of the
software.
truck gonna take a picture of it, then you count the trash bags later? Or, I mean, I don't know how that would
I
work.
cannot, well, I know Mitch wants to go, but I'll say something. So I was on Dennison Village Council when they went, did the Kimball. So Kimball has computers in the trucks. So when that guy pulls up to your house, he knows what your trash level is. Our guys don't have that, and I mean, for us to move into that, we're talking, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars, because those talk to the computers back at Kimball headquarters. So they're like, that's just opening a huge
Mr.
expense.
But-
Pace?
And a lot of people become unhappy that aren't unhappy now.
Go ahead, Mr. Pace.
Just real quick, Cheryl, thank you for doing the research. But to Ron's point, I can't imagine having 6 kids. I have 3 kids, and the amount of trash that we accumulate in a week would vary between 96 gallons to 180 gallons, and if we have a cookout like we did this weekend, I don't know what I'd end up doing. They
The
probably would leave-
unlimited
they
plan.
probably would end up leaving it there until the following week.
How about
So-
Christmas at your house is
Yeah,
something?
yes, so, I don't think we wanna put a burden on, the citizens that recycle, the ones that don't recycle. And a $3 burden is not, I don't think, worth the burden of, I think I picked my trash up this week, am I gonna have too much trash? If it blows away, do I got the right trash can? Like, that's where I'm kinda at, like everybody else. Seeing people in passing at First Town Days this week, a couple emails, phone calls. They were certainly in favor of the $3 increase because of the service. So thank you to the service director and the staff down there and the sanitation department. I know the gentlemen on the recycle truck, they take their job pretty serious, as well as the guys on the trash truck. So I think $3 is worth it, and just appreciate the service. I know I haven't been here the last 2 or 3 meetings, but I know the 3 extra pickups that I think each household gets. I don't think I've ever had to use one of those, because when I put something out there, it's taken. So
Right.
kind of comparing, we've got these 3 extra pickups, we've done some remodeling at the house, and I'm like, they might get that, I have to call that in, and it's gone. So, again, just the service is great, and I know a couple years ago, we were talking about an increase, and it got cut in half. Hindsight's 20/20, but now we're catching up now, so, that's all I gotta say.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Pace. Mr. Friend?
All right. Going last, some of the stuff's repetitive here, but, you know, the repeat is a superior service. And we are raising it $3 and still gonna be cheaper than communities that don't consider having superior service. So let's keep that in mind, most importantly, that our service is superior and we're still gonna be cheaper. I have many customers throughout my job that have properties in New Philadelphia, Dover, Yorkville, Dennison, wherever, you know, that own rental properties. They can't say like enough about our trash, and they actually believe sometimes we miss opportunities to charge when they're doing a remodel or something like that, just for future reference on that. But, so a lot of people that or different communities love our trash. It's, again, remains superior. The other thing that I do believe, and it's probably not way off, but I think our recycling numbers may be off, because I talked to a lot of, it seems like older people might only put it out every other week. So we might have missed some people, maybe it's 29% that do, but I think we missed some people there. And the one thing that I would like us to actually do is push our recycling more, because I was disappointed in those numbers, to be honest. You know, I think we're a forward-thinking community. you know, family-friendly community. It almost sound like the Dora speakers, you know? No, I just got yes and no covered. I think they all would want recycle, but we'll probably have someone here at 7:30. But no, my point is that, you know, as we keep going, I think we really actually need to get back out and do a recycling push, because it's kind of sad that only 26% of people recycle.
Perfect time to do it, too.
Yeah. So those are a couple of my thoughts. I had zero. I mean, I had people tell me you could have raised it 5, you know, and we're not. We're asking for what we need. We're not trying to ask for more than that. But I had numerous people that said, do not get rid of our sanitation. The people that didn't recycle, didn't care, raised it $3, and I said, well, you should recycle. And, you know, so, and I do believe Ron did a great job of trying to get that document out to us, but there probably would be a little bit more cost, because I do believe people are going to throw their recycling away, like Steve said. So there might be a little bit more cost in there for our trash and that, so it don't, you know, I think the way we presented it, making it look like it's recycle or raise $3, you know, all the cost went up. I mean, in our sanitation, everything went up. It's not just recycling. So let's make sure we say that too. But I think that's it. And I think we're gonna get next to zero negative feedback on this. And, cause I'm at 0. So, and it sounds like everybody else is, and it sounds like we're all on the same page. And thank you Ron, for taking the time to do it, and Dan, and everybody else. So thanks.
Yes.
And just real quick on the negative feedback, Mr. Baker wrote a story, I believe, about after the last council meeting and posted it on, I'm not sure if he posted it, but it was on the Times Reporter social media page. And in today's world, social media, if there's a hot button issue, there's usually 100 comments of people bickering, and there was 0 negative.
That's a great point, Mitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there was one.
I think I did see that.
There's like 1 out of, I think there was like 7
7 comments and
You know what I
one was
mean? There was
negative.
one that, well, so. that's
If I
kind
could
of
say one more thing, or one last thing, and I'll just refer to the mayor, so, because I'm not gonna catch him off guard, but ask him what we tell the guys when we hire them. He tells them that every time.
Yeah, they're the most visible employees we have. And the way they conduct themselves, their job is a reflection on all of us. So, you know, if they're not doing a good job, then people are gonna think it goes all the way up to the mayor not doing a good job.
You can tell him,
So-
Mr. Mayor, that this council appreciates it, and everybody that
And,
we
you
all
know, it's
represent
really,
appreciate it.
it's really gratifying to me to hear the comments that you've gotten from people. And just your own personal comments about our sanitation department, because they hit it out of the park all the time. And, you know, they go above and beyond many times, on their routes.
Well, I know you were out and about a lot with First Town Days. I mean, and out and about, and
Yeah,
everybody
not-
talks to you.
not-
Did you have?
No, no
Yeah.
one, and you know, I was surrounded by people the whole weekend,
Yeah.
and no, I got 0 comments about it.
I think the other thing too, it's not an easy job.
No.
Oh,
know, so
no,
they
it's
take
the
that job
toughest
with-
job. Yeah, and you're in all weather
Yeah.
too. Mhm.
It's 97 degrees and you're throwing
Yeah.
trash.
I can tell you this, the rain's the worst.
He did it.
I started there.
Yeah.
Rain's the worst, believe it or not. You
Yeah.
can kind of dress for most of the other stuff, but that rain just stinks, especially when you go out to landfill.
You always offer ride-alongs with the police force, but you never offer ride-alongs.
Hey, you're welcome to anytime, just let us know, we'll schedule it for you.
Next rainy day, Chris.
Yeah,
Go on a rainy day.
just, wear your work clothes.
So that we've had a chance for council comment, administration to comment. Do we have anybody from the public that would like to comment? Yes, yes, go up to the podium and state your name and address. And
It just
records.
Just record.
Oh, okay. Nick Lotzenheiser, 833 North Broadway. I just had some thoughts to share. As a family, we really do appreciate the services of sanitation, recycling, trash. So thank you, good job, the city. I just wanted to say, as a member of the community, we understand we have to support services and programs regardless of whether or not we use them. That includes every single road and alley, parks, cemeteries, the airport, even curbside recycling. No city services are used by everyone, even roads like some of these obscure alleys aren't used by everyone. But we understand that we have to all pay a little bit so that everyone can use them, right? A pay as one uses approach is not the answer. I don't think that is what a community is about. I was just gonna say, when is the last time the city has educated the residents on recycling use? Perhaps the Joint Solid Waste District or the Ohio EPA could assist. I know they offer those services. There's grants available from both of those organizations. Does the 26% figure account for all addresses, including businesses and multifamily units? I know at least one downtown business was asked for recycling pickup and was denied. So maybe we're not accurately reflecting the actual numbers of the total recycling. I asked the question, does trashing everything in a landfill really save New Philly that much? Wouldn't there be extra tipping fees with all the additional trash? And honestly, wouldn't it be better to pay a little bit more so that material isn't in a landfill and taking up more space in Tuscarawas County for landfills? As the leading and most populous city in this county, there's an expectation that curbside recycling is provided. Not providing the service makes the city less attractive for current and prospective residents and businesses. Shouldn't we be doing everything we can to embrace new residents, new businesses, and attracting new economic development? It's an important measure of environmental stewardship. What message are we sending as a city if we remove this service of curbside recycling, right? And just lastly, I just urge everyone on this council to please do not eliminate curbside recycling. And I appreciate you supporting this important city service. Thanks.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate your comments. All right, Mrs. Ramos?
I have a correction. My math, okay? It is on the numbers that we have for the recycling accounts. It's actually would cost them $8.36 a month for their recycling fee. So now it's shared among everybody, and I think, Nick, if the question isn't, well, we're not gonna eliminate curbside recycling. I think we've pretty much decided that. From what I'm hearing, nobody is for that. It's how much we're gonna raise the fee. Is that what I'm hearing correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to correct the math on that. So everybody is actually subsidizing the recycling.
Thank you, Mr. Ramos.
Hey, Ron, who is it that we get the money for the grant now? Because Nick mentioned some grant, well, we get a
Solid
grant.
waste, yeah.
Solid waste, we get a grant out.
Yeah. $10,848.
Yeah.
They probably would come do some
Yeah, I can.
Education.
I
Yeah,
wrote
we
that
can
down
read.
at the top, and I say something to them.
The other question is, I just thought of, Ron, I meant to ask and I didn't, do we cover the $17 or just a person covers? Because it was wasn't it $17 for the crate, a new crate?
The
Oh,
recycling.
yeah,
Yeah.
we pay that.
Yeah.
We have some down there, like, you gotta buy, like, I don't even know what it is, say it's 100 of them, because it's got the new
Because
filling on it.
that is the one thing that I talked to a few people, they're willing to buy that when they sign up. I know it's not a lot.
Maybe they get the
But-
first one,
Free.
and then if they lose it, or
Yeah.
they
That
probably
is
want an extra
something
one,
that
or
people
want an
don't
extra
mind,
one.
and I don't know how you go in and, but that's
Yeah, we can
something
do
to
that.
think about too, to save
We can
that
do
few
that.
bucks, so.
Because typically what'll happen, with talking with Ray and Mike, someone new will come in and they'll say, hey, do you offer recycle? And then they go give them yeah, this is what you get. And then sometimes you're right, sometimes, the folks will be like, yeah, we recycle a lot, we use 2 cans. So maybe that's right, maybe we do the first can's free, and the second can, you charge them the $17.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I can write that down.
Thank you. Then,
So I am a big recycler. We have 2 cans and they're usually full and I don't have very much garbage. So well, that's off the table, losing the recycle. But back to, and I appreciate everything that you looked into about the tiers. But as office manager for 6 years in the water department, just the extra pickups that we would have to bill for is kind of a hassle, but, to keep track of, again, who will keep track of when you use too much, you now need to pay the next tier. And then as those people come and go, or even college students come and go, or even kids that only live there 1 week and then they live somewhere else another week, so it's not always consistent. So I think that'd be too hard to track, and especially for the water office to bill those extra fees. And also when a lot of properties sell every month, so how do you reset? Do you reset back to the lower tier when that property sells? It's just, it would be very hard for the water department to track that, let alone the garbage, whoever is the ones that need to tell the water department what to bill.
I think that the idea behind this was the homeowner, whoever signed up for a level, not that in this example from Green, not that they were tracked, so to speak.
Well, I guess with what you're saying though is somebody has to track it because of the fact that I want to be the lowest rate. And now they've got 36 bags out there, but they're paying for the lowest rate.
And
So
that's
somebody does
tracked by
have-
the driver.
Someone, yes.
That's tracked by his
Yeah.
computer.
And I was
'cause when he
talking
pulls
to
up, it tells
the
him.
Kimball gal, she says there's actually a camera. Because if they charge somebody for something and they deny it, there's a picture that goes with that.
Yeah.
So there's still some tracking there, 100% there has to be.
Yeah. What, the business recycling, is there for a business, is there a limit to like my wife runs Tough Bags, so like she's filling a dumpster with recycling, but a smaller business like the hair salon right here, is there a limit that they are allowed to as a business?
You know, a lot of people, will do a lot of cardboard in businesses. So a lot of times they'll go out and just pick up the cardboard and stuff like that, but that's typically what it is in a business. If we do a business one, it's typically cardboard.
Okay,
So it's really no limit, like they'll put
Okay.
it out and then we just go pick it up.
okay.
Yeah.
I know with my day job, recycle guys come about once or twice a month and take a whole bunch of cardboard.
Cardboard, yeah.
And I hate to see that go into the trash.
Yeah,
In the
that's what I'm saying.
Because it'd fill up pretty quick, I would think.
And most of our businesses are cardboard,
She's got a recycling dumpster from Kimball's, so.
yeah.
Okay.
Cheryl, I think it's, just for you, I appreciate everything you're doing, but I've obviously, I mean, we've only been on for 6.5 months now or whatever. I don't know that we're ever gonna have another issue when we're talking about raising a rate, and literally, none of us have had a complaint. So I don't know that we need to fix something that isn't broke. I think what we're doing and what Ron kind of showed is, I think it is to fix. And
Well, I think it's broke.
I don't know that it is.
Some of what I see, I think it's very
You're the
broke,
first
so.
person I've heard in the last, you know, say that.
I don't know that it is, because, and Nick, you actually made a very good comment about, like, can't remember, what is that?
Stewards?
Yeah, like, and that
If you don't
it's
use an
not a
alley, then
one fit, whatever,
it
what'd you
still
say
needs to be
again, Nick?
fixed.
For the charging everybody the same and not changing it. But I think, Cheryl, I think, I don't wanna say you're overthinking it, and I appreciate everything you did, but I guess you kinda are, in my opinion, overthinking this one a little bit. I think, and Heather said it, I mean, that's gonna be a nightmare.
It
to
would be
track.
harder to have people sign up
Yeah.
for a program.
Yeah, hire more people
Yes, it
just for
would be
that.
harder.
And it's putting a lot on our staff to figure it out.
It's a burden across the board. Employees, community, and the environment.
See, I would say, I think, well, I know people aren't honest, but I believe in the best in people, and like, for myself, we wouldn't have to have the unlimited rate. But a couple neighbors around us in rental properties, this when we get back to rental registration, they definitely need the unlimited. Because it's like out of control. In fact, it's kind of unhealthy.
I can give you a kind of just this weekend. So my parents, 2 people in the house all the time. They always have a 4th of July party. So you go there now, and, 200 people there, all the food, all the drink, everything. So it's gonna look unlimited this Thursday, but other than that, you're gonna have a little Walmart bag tied up. So what do you do?
Well, I'm not talking about one-offs, okay? We all
No, but you
have
have
that.
to, but you have
I'm
to.
talking about a weekly, very consistent
I understand.
thing that's happened in my neighborhood.
I understand, but
Okay.
you have to do something to do that.
At what point do you consider it an extra pickup?
I let those guys judge. Mike Pyle does it for the most part. If it's something that two guys can sit there for a reasonable amount of time and not, you know, they can't go to every house and be in 400 stops and do an extra slip. But if they have, you know, some bags, 3 or 4 or 5 bags, and maybe there might even be a chair there, and they might pick it up. Just, you know, so I don't know, there's no cookie cutter thing that says this is an extra pickup, this is just regular. There's no thing that says that, for sure. And a lot of things, like Mitch was saying, like, or not recycle, but on,
Like remodeling.
remodeling, I've been there. If it's all done and it's in a can and 2 guys go pick it up and throw it away, now if it's all loose stuff, like, nah, I'm not taking it, no, that's an extra slip, you let the street department come pick it up. But if it's done in a way that 2 guys can throw it in and you're out and moving down the road, that stuff will get picked up every day, all day. But if it's something that just looks like they went from the front porch and threw it to the curb, it's gonna stay there and it's gonna wait for an extra slip. It's typically what we've always gauged it by. Yeah.
All right, well, I think everybody's had a chance to comment and give their opinion. Is there any action by the, now, granted, we don't have the legislation yet, so keep that in mind if we do make a motion from the committee. Is there any action to be taken at this time?
I would like to see if we can just authorize Ron to move forward with a $3 increase on the fees and keeping the recycling myself.
Okay, so you're basically asking the law director to draw up the proper legislation and have it.
Then we can bring it before the committee and discuss it as
We can do
legislation.
another committee meeting next meeting and look at it. And
Do you have to have a second on that?
I was gonna ask, yeah, I was just kind of clarifying what he was asking you. Do I have a second? I'll make that second. And we'll take a vote. Mr. Ribbeth?
Yes.
Mrs. Ramos?
No.
And I'll vote yes. So we'll have the,
So you want legislation for a $3 increase?
yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If you would you just make it at the end, because you'll make something on it, Marvin, say October, just to make sure we're out and free and clear, starting with the October bill.
Typing that in
So I
right
know
now.
you-
Sure.
There we go.
Is that okay with everyone? I mean, it shouldn't say that, but is that okay with everybody?
That sounds good. So that way it gives them enough time to know that they're ready to
Well,
change.
yeah, it
Yeah.
gives us enough time to.
Gives us enough time to change everything.
Right.
You can even make it November if that's your guys' will. I'm just saying, don't put it up against the wall to where I don't wanna back charge anybody.
No.
So if you guys wanna make it November, do that.
Is it easier for you? Push, I mean,
Well, that
you
way
wanna
get-
talk to the building department?
Well,
No,
basically.
we can do that. I mean, we can make November first. Let's do it November first.
Okay, that
November
gives you
1st.
plenty of time.
Yeah, that gives me plenty of time. I just don't want you guys to jam me up, that's all.
Because we're gonna definitely take this for 3 readings.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes.
Yep, so just make it, starting the November billing. How's that?
Okay. Anything else to come before committee? Seeing none, I'll take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Rippeth.
It's a big issue.
You know, I should have been surprised.
And I really think.
This meeting of New Philadelphia will now come to order. Would you please rise and remain standing for the invocation and the pledge of allegiance? Mr. Griffith, would you lead us? in
Thank you,
the
Mr. President. Yes, would you pray with me, please? Heavenly Father, we just give you thanks and praise for all your mighty works. We thank you for creating us and sustaining us and building us to live in community with one another, Lord. You have blessed us greatly to live in this city, and we thank you for that. We thank you for the citizens and our city employees, the leadership that's here tonight, and we just ask that you do all that you can to work through those people to make our city great. Father, I pray for this meeting specifically tonight that you'll grant us wisdom and discernment to make decisions that meet with your approval and are for the good of our citizens, and that you'll be with us in all that we do. Lord, we thank you for this country where we can come here together in representative government and represent people and do the right things for this city. We do all this in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to do, would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Kreinbell.
Here.
Mr. Lonzer.
Here.
Mr. Pace.
Here.
Mrs. Ramos.
Here.
Mr. Rippeth.
Present.
Mr. Simmeling.
Present.
Mr. Walker.
Here.
Okay, well, do we have any, you all have tonight's agenda before you. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions? Yes, Mr. Popham.
I would ask for a short executive session for personnel reasons.
All right, do we have a motion, Mr. Rippeth?
I would
Do we
move
have a
that we-
second? Mr. Pace? Julie, would you call the roll on that?
Mr. Rippeth.
Yes.
Mr. Pace.
Yes.
Mr. Kreinbell.
Yes.
Mrs. Ramos.
Yes.
Mr. Simmeling.
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
Thank you. Is there any other additions to?
Yes, Mr.
Rippeth.
President, I would ask that we add ordinance 2024 to tonight's agenda.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Kreinbell? Okay, would we take the roll on that, Mrs.?
Mr. Rippeth.
Yes.
Mr. Kreinbell.
Yes.
Mr. Pace.
Yes.
Mrs. Ramos.
Yes.
Mr. Simmeling.
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
Okay, any other additions to the agenda tonight? Seeing none, do we have a motion to accept the agenda tonight?
So moved.
Mr. Rippeth, and a second?
Second.
Mr. Simlick? All right, we take a roll call on that, please?
Mr. Rippeth.
Yes.
Mr. Simmeling.
Yes.
Mr. Kreinbell.
Yes.
Mr. Pace.
Yes.
Mrs. Ramos.
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
All right, everybody got a copy of the minutes. Is there any corrections or on the minutes, or can we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Walker?
I'll second.
Mr. Simlick? Okay, we'll take the roll call on that.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
Mr. Simmeling.
Yes.
Mr. Kreinbell.
Yes.
Mr. Pace.
Abstain.
Mrs. Ramos.
Yes.
Mr. Rippeth.
Yes.
Okay. Would the clerk please read any correspondence made to council?
To council and administration from an executive administrative assistant to the mayor, Jamie Bailey. This is dated July 1st, 2024. This is the June month-end report. To council and administration from income tax administrator for the city, Carly Luce, dated July 1st, 2024. This is the June month-end report from the income tax department. To council and administration from auditor Heather Denham. This is dated July 3rd, 2024. This is the post-audit report from Rhea and Associates. To council clerk from the Ohio Public Utilities Commission, dated July 7th, 2024. This is a CD titled Staff Report of Investigation. To council clerk from Treasurer Gerber, dated July 8th, 2024. This is the City of New Philadelphia Investment and Savings Report for June of 2024. And to council and administration from Mayor Day, dated July 8th, 2024, the mayor's report. And that concludes correspondence for this
Thank you,
evening,
Mrs.
Mr. President.
We're going to go move into administrative reports. We will now hear from the mayor, Mr. Day.
Thank you, President Pro Tem, council members, fellow administrators, and guests. First off, I want to say congratulations and thank you to the First Town Days Festival Committee for the outstanding job they did this past weekend, giving us another celebration to remember with the festival. Grand Parade was one of the best evers, maybe the longest that we've ever had. They were staging units on the other side of Wabash Avenue, and we had to move the starting point up a block to Minnick Avenue. So, and the crowds that were lining the streets, it was really awesome. So, I want to thank the festival committee for that. Of course, the alumni Quaker Marching Band was a big hit. And speaking of big hit, Councilman Pace was a big hitter on Saturday. As the City Slickers beat the County Terminators in our annual softball game, 21-1. How many home runs do you have?
I just had one.
You just had one. How many doubles?
I had a stand-up triple.
Stand-up triple? All right.
You're still sore.
Barely made it.
Yeah.
Probably hit that one over the fence too, and then got triple.
He's impressive to watch, I will say. But I want to congratulate Coach Chaz Willett for putting together another team of sluggers who work for the city. You know, it's been domination by the city for the past, 4 or 5, maybe 6 years. You know, we're hoping that the county can up their game next year and give us some more competition. Of course, on Saturday, fireworks night, the Tuscarora Park was filled with people, and that's what we want from our festival. And Sunday's car show, well, I'll tell you, there were outstanding vehicles there. It was really tough to pick the trophy winners in that. So, and I want to thank the sponsors of this year's First Town Days Festival events. We're grateful for all of their support of the festival and our community. Something else I want to mention, the pickleball courts at Tuscarora Park will be closed for the next 2 weeks for resurfacing. Vasco Asphalt is applying a new top coat to the court surfaces in keeping with the Parks Department's maintenance schedule. It's going to take around a week and a half for that resurfacing to cure before play can resume. The reopening date should be on Monday, July 22nd, but check the city's Facebook page for updates on that. And that concludes my report. Any questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Day. We'll go to the server director. You have a report?
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. I'll bring everybody up on the 2024 city paving. Today, they was over grinding on Carly Avenue, which we was doing from Wabash to the dead end there by the VFW in that unnamed alley. They look to do that by the end of Wednesday. Then if you know, we have 3rd Street to complete yet from Ray Avenue all the way to Wabash. That'll take them the rest of this week and some of next week, and they'll finish up on Grandview, and then the 2024 paving will be finished. So I believe at the 22nd meeting, our meeting on July 22nd, I will be able to give the full update and should be completed by then. So again, hopefully be done by the end of next week with our 2024 paving list. Also, the mayor had in his report had brought up about the airport and the taxiway relocation. That's going along well, keeping up to date on that, moving good. They did have one hiccup today, that's what I was gonna ask, but going to follow up with what he had on his report. They was running some wire today with a trencher, and off to the right of the runway on the East High Avenue side, our manholes sit there. They ran into one of our manholes with the trencher. Well, put about 150 to 200 brick down in the manhole. We was able to get our jetter down in there. Was able to get them all out, get the trough opened up, and that's the main line from that east end. So everything comes up through there and then gets down to right to the plant from there. But we spent about 3 hours down there with them. They've got it coned off now, and then they'll have to repair it, and they're gonna repair it tomorrow. Shelley Company will. It was marked and everything, but the guy was just hogging through there. So just everybody know, if they see anything out there, that's what's going on. They gotta rebuild it, though. They'll rebuild that tomorrow. Also, I just wanna give a couple updates. I know we won't start these until August, the way it looks right now, but Franklin Square, Phase 2, the storm sewer project, right now, it's scheduled to start in August, but I just want to give everybody a heads up. We had a pre-con meeting, but we don't have that date nailed down. I hope to have that also on the 22nd. Also, no pre-con meeting yet for the KSU Connector Trail, but the same folks that are doing the rehab on the airport are also got that job bid. So when I was talking to him, he thought in August also, but I hope to give an update on that in the July 22nd meeting also. Just giving everybody a heads up on the 2 big projects we have yet for this summer to start. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Mr. McAbear. Any questions for Mr. McAbear? Seeing none, we'll move on to the Safety Director, Mr. Popham.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. Update in the police department last week, and I believe it was Tuesday, the body cams were all put into service and they're up and running, and at this point, no glitches. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Popham. Well, any questions for the Safety Director? No? We'll move on to the Auditor. Do you, Auditor have any?
Oh, thank you. I don't have a report for tonight.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to the Treasurer, Mr. Gerber. Do you have
No
any?
report, sir.
Thank you. We'll go on to the Law Director, Mr. Fate.
Thank you. I would request, Mr. President, that you assign to your own committee,
Okay.
Resolution 9/2024. The gist of that is, that went out with the proposed legislation this past weekend, this past Thursday, actually. That is, the administration has negotiated with it's Hootie Bear Ltd., who operates Magoo's Restaurant, which we actually own the restaurant. And part of the lease agreement is that the rent is, we get a percentage of the profits at 3%, and they've negotiated a increase to 4%. It's a fantastic place. To my knowledge, it's the first place we've had a really great restaurant in there that's operating at really at full capacity all the time. And you go, if you get a reservation, you go with your kids and sit and watch planes come in and out, and it's just a fantastic place. I know when I try to get a pizza from there, it takes at least an hour. They're so busy just to get it to go order. So we're greatly enthusiastic about that, and I'd like to get this going by September 1st. I did ask the council president to do this. He asked to have you assign it, given that he's on vacation. So if you could handle that, I would certainly appreciate it.
Sure thing, Mr. Fate.
In addition to that, I also wanted to report that the Supreme Court did rule that to a certain extent you can criminalize certain aspects of homelessness. To refresh your recollection, some folks from Oregon that were actually pro-homeless advocates brought this action because what was happening was people were sleeping on the streets and they had no authority to get them off the streets and into shelters and treatment plants. There was no incentive because they were like, well, we're not going anywhere. We're just going to sleep here and camp on public lands. And by a vote of 6-3, the Supreme Court, the opposite side argued that it was cruel and unusual punishment to go after homeless people and that they should be a protected class. The Supreme Court rejected that argument and said that you could make it criminal to camp on public lands. I already spoke to Mr. Pace about this a couple weeks ago. Mr. Pace is going to be working on, we're going to be revamping Ordinance 973, which controls our parks. That hasn't been revamped since 1960, but certainly this will be something that we'll want to consider in terms of protecting our parks and making sure that those who don't have someplace to go are getting the type of treatment and help that they need rather than being more difficult on them and on the public at large, which was the whole gist of the court case. If council would like me to send out a memorandum that kind of breaks down the entire case in non-legal language, I'm pretty good at doing that. If you guys would like me to do that, I'd be happy to send one out so that you can look at it, because you may want to incorporate this into other aspects. I just know that the park is an immediate concern because of an issue that we're having down by the waterworks right now. So that's why I brought it to Mr. Pace's attention immediately. But if council would like me to do that, I'd be happy to do that and send that out to you. And then if you want to consider that as part of legislation as a whole, applying to the entire city, I'd be happy to consider that.
Thank you, Mr. Fate. Is there any questions of the Law Director?
I don't have a question, but I think the memorandum, kind of a summary of the Supreme Court case would be ideal for everybody
All right.
to.
Happy to do that.
Yep.
As
Go ahead,
as
Mr.
it
Rowe.
would pertain to us, because I've read briefs on it, you know, like summaries and stuff. But as it pertains to us, our situation here,
Sure.
I would ask that.
I think so too, maybe legislation for the entire city, maybe not just the parks, but how we can apply that to the, if they move from one place, they're gonna move to the next.
Right, you want it for the whole parks system.
Yeah.
Any public land, I think you're saying?
Yeah,
Well, why don't we I'll get the court case out to you by the next meeting, and then if you want, then we can assign it to a committee or even a committee of the whole to consider something like that. Because it's a touchy subject. The minority in the court was arguing you're criminalizing homelessness, and that's really not what was being done. The people that brought this were advocates for the homeless people. They were trying to get them help, and that's really what this is about. And it's about protecting the public and protecting these individuals that need the help that they need. That's why the administration supported the new homeless shelter that's going to be going in at the old location. So, I mean, we're all about helping people and keeping the public safe, and that person is a member of our public too, so.
Thank you, Mr. Pate. We're going to move on to board and commission reports. First up is the planning commission. Mr. Day?
Thank you, President Pro Tem. The Planning Commission will be meeting here in council chambers tomorrow at 1 p.m. The commission will be looking at a possible new development at 2nd and 3rd Streets Southwest. And if we have any remaining time, we will be reviewing the first and final draft of the new zoning code for the city.
Thank you, Mayor.
And I would encourage all of you to look at that draft and send any comments you have to me. I'd appreciate that. Wendy Mueller from Compass Point Planning will be scheduling a public meeting on that the week of July 22nd. We haven't nailed down the date and time yet. And then the Planning Commission will be taking the comments from that public hearing, considering that, and then at their meeting in August, and then from that, they'll be making a recommendation to City Council on adoption of the new zoning code.
All right, thank you, Mr. Day. Any questions for the mayor?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
is the, the final draft you mentioned, is that posted on the city website yet?
Yes. Yep.
Can you tell us what it's under, how to navigate to it?
Well, it's under documents.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, any other questions? No?
Thank you.
We're going to talk to Mr. McAbeer about the Board of Zoning and Appeals.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. Sorry. The Board of Zoning and Appeals meeting scheduled for tomorrow at 5 p.m. with no variance request to be heard has been canceled.
All right, thank you, Mr. McAbeer. Any questions? No? We'll move on to Airport Commission, which I will tell you that we will be meeting at the airport, the Harry Cleaver Field Airport Meeting Room tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Any questions for the Airport Commission? No, seeing none, we'll move on to Park Board, Mr. Pace.
Thank you, Mr. President Pro Tem. I don't have a official report this evening, but I just want to echo what Mayor Day said on the first town days, volunteers, RTY, and our Superintendent Adam Fulton and Assistant Superintendent Jan Heron on how great the park looked over the weekend. With the American flags flying, the rides going, kids enjoying it, I don't think we can ask for anything better. So certainly appreciate everybody, and it's a great weekend in the city of New Philly.
Definitely my favorite festival and the favorite park.
Yep,
you know.
you got it. Thank you.
We'll move on to the Health Board, Mr. Simley.
Health Board meets Wednesday at noon, but in the meantime, I passed out to you, our city health department is part of Healthy Tusk, which was created in 2009 in response to concerns about obesity. And since then, it's been expanded to 20 different health and human services organizations who are charged every 3 years with doing a survey of the community to figure out what are the current health concerns in the community and set up goals and processes moving forward. So, and then those results, they hope to get 400. I can't help them to get a lot more, but The results of that go to Ohio University, which makes a report, comes back with a recommendation for their plan of action for the next 3 years. You've got a thing here that you can scan on your phone, fill it out anonymously, or you can, or you can put your name on it. And I would think actually input from this group probably be fairly valuable. So that's why I gave you the thing. So it's probably a good thing. Maybe they've done it, maybe, have you been involved in that before? I don't know. I wasn't here 3 years ago when they did it.
In the house survey?
Yeah. Did they do it 3 years ago?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, well then this is a good thing.
And a chance to win a $50 gas card.
What?
And a chance to win a $50 gas card.
And you can win a $50 gas card if you'll say who you are. Now, one of the questions is, are you on probation and all this other stuff? You don't have to tell them. So, anyway, good way to support them. They also are getting ready for mosquito spraying, as I understand. You're familiar with it?
Yes.
What that plan is?
We'll talk about that at the health board meeting on Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah,
thought we
Zach-
could, you
Zach
give them a
Phillips
preview
needs-
though. They're about to start, I think, on the south side, then they move. to-
Well, yeah, but he sets a schedule, he and the health commissioner, so, we won't know about that till Wednesday,
Okay.
the health board meeting.
It's a little sneak preview. They're gonna start it soon on the south side.
Thank you, sir.
That's all I have, Mr. Pro Tem. Thank you.
Do we have any questions? No? We're going to move on to council committee reports. First up is Finance Committee, Mr. Ripley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Finance Committee met tonight at 6:15 PM here in council chambers. One item on our agenda tonight was for ordinance 2024, which we've added to tonight's agenda for a vote, which is basically just appropriating some funds for that mosquito spraying that we just discussed. So that meeting took till about 6:18 and we adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. Rippeth. Any questions for the finance chair? Seeing none. We'll move on to Public Works and Economic Development, which is myself, and we met this evening at 6:30, and we had one item to discuss, and that was the sanitation rates for 2024. We voted and to move that on with a $3 increase to have the law director draw up the proper legislation, and we'll look at that again next meeting for committee, and possibly, if we like it at that time, we'll move it on to council. And then we adjourn. Is there any questions? No? We'll move on to Safety, Health, and Service. Mr. Simmons.
No reports.
Thank you. Zoning and Annexation, Mrs. Ramos.
Thank you, Mr. President. No report.
We'll move on to Salary Committee, Mr. Kreindl.
Thank you, Mr. President. No report this evening.
All right. We'll go into Parks and Cemetery, Mr. Pace.
Thank you, Mr. President. No report, and the cemetery board will not be meeting this month.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to Contact and Special, Mr. Walker.
Thank you, Mr. President. No report this evening.
All right. Well, at this time, we'll go on for visitors' comments. Anyone wishing to address council should rise, state their name, address, and all comments to the chair. You will be given 5 minutes time limit. Does anyone in the audience wish to speak to council tonight? Now, keep in mind that doesn't amplify your speech, it just records it, so we have it for the recording.
My name is Rhonda Stover. I'm a longtime resident of New Philadelphia. I live at 850 Orchard Avenue Northwest. In December of 2022, we lost a family member to the ravages of alcoholism. After years of being a closet alcoholic, she turned to harder stuff, binge drinking when no one was around, until her organs began to deteriorate to the point that she could no longer hide it. Towards the end, it was like watching someone commit suicide in slow motion. Rather than gathering to celebrate the birth of Jesus and the promise of a new year, we gathered on New Year's Eve to mourn the loss of our dear cousin. She left behind a husband, 3 sons, and a daughter-in-law. She never got to meet her first grandson. was born 4 months later. I'm sure when Becky first began drinking at family events and social gatherings, she never imagined that is where it would end. Most people don't. They treat the consumption of alcohol casually. Because alcohol permeates people's everyday lives, appearing everywhere from birthday parties and weddings to even funerals, its possible dangers are often obscured. Such would be the case if the city of New Philadelphia created a DORA. Adults walking around downtown carrying a glass of alcohol as casually as they would an ice cream cone or popcorn sends a very dangerous message to the children and young adults of our community, as well as to the people staying in the homeless shelter or those struggling with alcoholism. According to the Association of American Medical Colleges, alcohol-related deaths in the United States have surged by a whopping 30% in recent years. Excessive drinking is now responsible for nearly 500 American deaths every single day, whether it's from car accidents, liver disease, or dozens of other risks. In 2022, nearly 3 million United States teens and adults self-identified as having alcohol use disorder. That is, the inability to control drinking despite adverse consequences. Our Becky suffered from that. Of those, 753,000 are young people ages 12 through 17. We are all familiar with the public health media campaign that was created by Prevention Action Alliance. They use the phrase, "Parents who host lose the most." Why? Because it helps prevent underage drinking in our community by targeting young people's access to and the availability of alcohol. This campaign reminds parents that it is unhealthy, unsafe, and unacceptable to provide alcohol to young people and warns parents of the legal risks they may face, including fines, seizures of property, loss of driving licenses, and even jail time. I'm representing people this evening who believe that cities who host lose the most. That would be cities who host a DORA, I mean. There are reasons why restaurants and stores need to obtain a liquor license to sell the stuff. There are reasons why we have laws that prevent the open consumption and open carrying of alcohol. It's because it is not a benign substance. As governmental leaders of our city, it is your responsibility to help provide a safe, family-friendly environment for our citizens. It is imperative that you do all within your power to make our downtown area a safe, wholesome place to live, shop, go to the library, see a movie, attend classes, hear a concert, attend church, etc., without encountering people on the sidewalk who are casually consuming an addictive, mind-impairing beverage. No temporary monetary gain could outweigh the long-term negative consequences of the environment that a DORA creates. We just hosted First Town Days, a successful family-friendly event that draws people to our city without the use of alcohol. So it can be done. We are New Philadelphia, the new city of brotherly love. Let's reject DORA, lean on our Christian heritage, and ask God to show us life-giving ways to draw people to our downtown. Thank you.
Thank you.
With your permission, I would like to pass out to members of council and to the mayor a letter from our pastor, along with a few signatures showing you that I am not standing alone as I speak here this evening.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
You can actually compare the original, and then you can see that the council president gets that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So much.
All right, is there anybody else that'd like to speak? Yes, go ahead.
Thank you.
That's all right, we can print more.
Thank you for sharing. Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Wilma Mullet. I'm one of the organizers of Art on the Alley, which has been a growing arts festival here in downtown New Philadelphia. And I'm actually here, I'm going to just keep this fairly simple, but I am here to support Dora because I know what I've seen in other communities, and I know what I've seen, like where other arts festivals, community events, where they've had Adora implemented, and there haven't been negative consequences because of it. If anything, it helps shine a light on the availability for it, and also the responsibility that people take during it. And I do want to emphasize that there is more responsibility behind it as well, as we trust our bartenders to check cards for, check people's IDs for those that should be of legal drinking age. As we know, the Dora cups are the ones that, where that's where you bring around. It's not an open container by any means. It's not, and there's a lot of lists for what it's not. But by doing this, it also adds a level of safety because you never know when an attendee is coming and they are concealing their own beverage in a closed container like a Stanley Cup. So this just ensures that there is a level of safety, that yes, there's responsibility behind it because there's responsible restaurant owners and adults that are able to safely open, contain, and to be able to know and I think the other thing too with our bartenders and such is that they know when they see someone that is impaired and when to cut off with the issues of that may have come up because of alcohol and stuff. But as an event organizer that has planned Art on the Alley for the last 7 seasons, and just knowing what other communities have implemented, you may have even gone to places like Worcester where they do have Adora plan implemented, and you wouldn't have known that it was there. So by having Adora, there is more benefits for economic development, but also just being able to, alcohol is available. If you choose to drink, go ahead. But at least now we're not having people that would come and hide how much that they're actually drinking. So it's open, it's out there, it's okay. But I'm just here to be here to support Dora from that perspective as an event organizer.
All right, thank you very much. Anybody else who would like to speak to council? Okay.
I didn't think I was going to speak until I heard her. And I don't drink, but I am an artist in town, and I do.
Oh, yeah, can you give me your name and address?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, my name's Jessica Haney, and I own my museum, tattoo studio, the Tusk Avenue Grade School, and I just acquired the building that's attached to Fresh, the Brogan building. So I do have designs on having something downtown artsy and being involved with Art in the Alley for all these years, and knowing what I see as setting up there and being part of this community. I do see a lot of people that carry around alcohol because they have to hide it. I don't want that. Now also, reaching out to her, I don't drink. I have alcoholism in my family that tears me apart all the time, but it's not my decision to drink. I am so sorry for what you had to go through and what happened with your cousin, but at the same time, I see this ravage everywhere, whether we have a controlled area or not. So I personally think, I went on the website and looked at our state and how many counties actually had it and for how long. And Canton actually has a lot. And there's another one in the mid-Ohio that has quite a few as well. And I thought as far as how we travel and what our destination, we want to bring tourists in. We want to bring people into these events that we have. I feel like I don't want to say we'd be eliminating people by not having it, but I don't know that we open up that can of worms by having it. So I feel that I'm for it, and if it can always be taken away, correct? I mean, I feel like it should be something that we explore for our community. And unfortunately, that had to happen to you, and I'm sorry, but I do see it in my family as well, and it hurts. So, that being said, I do support Dora.
Thank you, Mrs. Haney.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we got everybody in the public covered. We'll go to council comments. Is there any council comments at this time? Seeing none, we'll move into the legislative agenda.
Ordinance number 2024, an ordinance by the council of the city of New Philadelphia, Ohio, amending and adjusting the permanent appropriations ordinance for the year 2024 and declaring an emergency, first reading.
Is there any action to be taken on ordinance 2020?
Mr. President, I would move that we suspend the rules tonight and vote on ordinance 2024 this evening.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Crandall? Oh. And we'll take the roll call on that.
Mr. Ribbit.
Yes.
Mr. Kreinbell.
Yes.
Mr. Pace.
Yes.
Mrs. Ramos.
Yes.
Mr. Simmelink.
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
Okay, and is there any action to be taken on?
Mr. President, I would move that we vote to pass ordinance 2024 tonight.
Thank you. Is there a second, Mr.
second.
Crandall? No? And would like to take the roll on that?
Mr. Ribbit.
Yes.
Mr. Kreinbell.
Yes.
Mr. Pace.
Yes.
Mrs. Ramos.
Yes.
Mr. Simmelink.
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
Okay,
All right, and that concludes legislation for this evening, Mr. President.
all right. At this time, we're going to take a 5-minute recess before we go into executive session.
All right, 8:06.
All right, we are back now to regular session of council. Do we have any unfinished or old business? Seeing none, do we have any new business? Seeing none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Dupree.
And
8:15.
Nobody jump on that?
I thought Dan was gonna.
Yeah.